at this point, let me stop sharing my screen for now, and let me do my little introduction here. So, digital transformation implementations, of which electronic data interchange, EDI, is the foundation, have accelerated in the wake of the COVID pandemic. It has become clear that resilience and agility are not possible when processes are complex or still manual. And there's still a lot of that, believe it or not. Companies worldwide need to digitally engage and trade with their partner ecosystems and automate processes as much as possible. EDI provides organizations with the best and most efficient way to connect, exchange information, and conduct digital transactions with trading partners and customers worldwide. During this webinar, you will learn about EDI and why it remains the most commonly used B2B e-commerce technology today. Some of the things that we're going to be looking at are the fundamentals of EDI, the top benefits of EDI, and EDI implementation options. So we are joined today by Naomi in the US, who is just starting out her day. So she's nice and fresh and full of energy. Naomi is the Senior Manager, Product Marketing at OpenText Business Network in the US. As Senior Manager, Product Marketing for OpenText Business Network, Naomi leads product marketing efforts for B2B integration, including EDI solutions ranging from digitizing small businesses to value-added network options via OpenText Trading Grid. Experienced in marketing across various industries, Naomi enjoys translating complex concepts into simpler terms. Now that sounds like the type of lady that I like, because I like things simple and not complex. So Naomi, welcome. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon. And I'm going to let you kick off and take things away.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction.
That's my pleasure.
So I'll get right to it by starting off with, let's take a look at the current situation that we're in right now. Because we know that companies have had to embrace many different types of disruptions over the years, from earthquakes to tsunamis to cargo ships getting stuck in the Suez Canal. But COVID-19 has accelerated digital supply chain transformations. Supply chain leaders such as logistics managers and directors, they're rethinking their supply chain infrastructure. They are rethinking how they run their business as we move to the so-called new normal. They are rethinking whether they need to source all of their goods from China, or whether they could actually move production or sourcing back to their domestic market. Because if they can leverage supplies in their domestic market, they gain the benefit of being able to get access to those products much more quickly. So they're looking for ways to simplify their logistics network and speed up the delivery of parts to retailers or to manufacturers, instead of having to wait for those parts to travel halfway around the world. COVID-19 is really forcing companies to think about their supply chain operations. And since many employees have started working from home, it's also gotten CIOs to revisit their IT infrastructure to support that remote working. CIOs need to ensure they are still conducting business with their customers. So we've seen the increased growth of video conferencing tools, for example. Companies are accelerating their investment in cloud-based solutions to support remote working and also to prepare them for whatever disruption comes in the future. Compliance regulations are popping up everywhere around the world. And as I mentioned a moment ago, this needs to think about simplifying supply chains, or the term that I've got on this slide, reverse globalization. So for years, companies have globalized their business operations into the Far East and China, Thailand, Vietnam, to take advantage of low-cost labor in those markets. But those labor costs are actually rising. Even before COVID-19 started to hit the global economy, companies were already thinking about where they should move their next sourcing base. Where should they be procuring those parts from a global basis? And then the last bullet, business diversification. Diversification is leading the need to rapidly onboard new trading partners. We've seen through COVID-19, many manufacturers are diversifying or have diversified their operations to help with the supplier PPE, their protective equipment. Many manufacturers began to switch from the production of one type of goods, such as perfumes, for example, and they had the ability to rapidly switch production to hand sanitizers, for example. Or another example, automotive companies manufacturing ventilators. The ability to switch the logistics, the supply chain, and be able to manufacture something completely different, that's not something that happens easily. There's a lot of planning that goes into that. But companies who are connected to a global network of trading partners can connect that much more quickly to the right kind of trading partner and switch trading partners. And that's really what a global network that can communicate electronically via EDI can provide. Once you're connected to a large global network electronically, then you have the ability to use EDI to reach and to connect, to communicate and collaborate to many different trading partners. All right, so I see a very wide range of companies attending this live webinar today. And your company is somewhere along this B2B maturity value path. Some of you may be fairly new to EDI and fairly new to the ability to electronically exchange business documents with your trading partners. But some others, they're looking for ways to optimize, become more strategic, more flexible, and set up your business on the path to grow. Most CEOs are driven by one or more of these three things: profitability, agility, and growth. The mature B2B business network can be the strategic weapon for your CEO and your entire business. So for those of you who are just getting started with EDI, I'll give a brief overview of what this is. Electronic data interchange is a way that documents can be exchanged from the computer of one business and fed into the computer of another business without requiring human interaction. And this is done by converting those documents, talking about documents such as purchase orders and invoices, into a standard electronic format. So here's the definition of electronic data interchange. EDI is the computer-to-computer exchange of business documents in a standard electronic format between business partners. So let's break this down. When we talk about computer-to-computer, so EDI replaces postal mail, it replaces fax and email. While email is also an electronic approach, the documents exchanged via email must still be handled by people rather than computers. And having people involved slows down the processing of the documents, and it also introduces errors. So instead, EDI documents can flow straight through to the appropriate application on the receiver's computer, for example, an order management system. And processing can begin immediately. When we're talking about business documents, so we can talk about any kind of document that is typically exchanged between businesses. Some of the most common documents that are exchanged are purchase orders, invoices, advanced ship notices. But there are many, many others, such as bill of lading, documents containing information about customs, inventory, shipping status, and payment. And the standard format, so because EDI documents must be processed by computers rather than humans, a standard format must be used so that the computer will be able to read and understand the documents. So a standard format describes what each piece of information is and in what format. For example, whether the date should be formatted month, month, day, day, year, year, or day, day, month, month, year, year, so forth. Because without a standard format, each company would send documents using its company-specific or regional format. which the receiver's computer system might not understand correctly. And by business partners, well, the exchange of EDI documents is typically between two different companies, referred to as either business partners or trading partners. Now, without EDI, using manual processing, it is slow, it's inefficient, and it's prone to error. Postal mail can be slow, and paper documents can be misplaced or lost. And once received, mailed and fax documents must be manually entered into a computer application, a process that frequently results in errors. Now, as I mentioned earlier, even though emails and also e-faxes are sent electronically, these processes still involve human handling and must be entered into internal business systems manually. And each time you have people involved, that slows down the processing of the documents and adds the chance of human error. So instead, a fully integrated EDI system allows the documents that are exchanged, they can flow from the sender's computer straight through to the appropriate application on the receiver's computer, where processing can begin immediately. So here are some of the main benefits that businesses are realizing by using EDI. Number one, the source of most data errors is the manual typing in of data from paper documents into internal systems. By capturing business documents electronically, critical business data is fed directly into internal systems without relying on error-prone manual rekeying. The benefits of streamlining processes with EDI, they can have a ripple effect throughout many business operations. So I've already discussed how EDI leads to less reworking of orders and invoices caused by retyping the data. Well, EDI invoicing also enables buyers to process and approve invoice payments faster. It reduces order processing and delivery times, which enables organizations to reduce their inventory levels. Decision-making. So beyond the direct cost and time-saving benefits, electronic transactions provide better visibility into transaction status. And this in turn enables faster decision-making and improved responsiveness to changing customer and market demands. And with a fully integrated EDI in which data flows directly from computer to computer, data can be exchanged in a highly secure environment. Compare that with paper documents that circulate in an office and are exchanged by several people who may misplace or dispose of sensitive information incorrectly. And lastly, this also means that your business will be more resilient if crisis strikes. And it doesn't have to be a worldwide pandemic. It could be a break-in or a fire to your office building, a weather catastrophe. Your business will be able to bounce back more quickly if your data is housed securely in the cloud and if your staff can access and process that data from anywhere. So we can dig into these benefits a little further. Whoops, I just went back. Wrong direction, there we go. So there's a proven direct correlation between B2B maturity, of which EDI is the first step, and supply chains that deliver top-line business results and performance. So based on customer results and studies that we've sponsored with industry analysts, we found that leaders in B2B network maturity experience compelling results impacting your top line and bottom line performance. So here are just a few of those compelling results. Leaders in B2B maturity see an average of 20 to 40% cost savings versus the array of do-it-yourself in-house software toolkits, and almost 90% reduction in response time to unplanned events with improved data visibility. So this is a major impact on business continuity. It drives efficiencies, including an average of 30% reduction in DSO. Companies leading in B2B maturity see an almost 50% rate of improved customer satisfaction, thereby securing yourself as a preferred vendor. We see a 75% faster customer and partner onboarding, that's real time to value. and importantly, a large reduction of over 70% reduction of siloed toolkits. By consolidating your systems and toolsets, you are lowering your cost, improving efficiency, and delivering better data visibility. So as you can see, it makes sense to prioritize your digital transformation strategy and move further along the B2B maturity value path. But there are some hurdles that make implementation difficult. If you work for a company who has been using EDI systems for at least a couple of years, you likely have a complex mix of B2B tool sets. Now, each one of those may be good at a specific task, but what this leads to is a complex landscape of tools that just don't work together. So here are some examples. If you're using an EDI van, then you may actually have multiple vans, those that you've acquired through merger and acquisitions. You may have some legacy vans that you just haven't retired yet. And in the same way, through acquisitions, you may also have several translators. You may have portals or forums, and so on. But what does this all mean? This means that you have many points where data is not flowing seamlessly. And with all these tools, you don't have consistent data for complete reporting. It's also expensive and time-consuming to maintain overlapping tool sets, and many legacy tools are at risk because of skill set shortage. It's harder to manage the security of data, and it slows down your IT team in meeting business demands. So you have to ask yourself, how do you plan to navigate this? Well, we'll go into that in a moment. Because another big hurdle, besides having a complex array of tool sets, is also the growing complexity of how electronic information is exchanged. Today, there isn't just one kind of EDI standards. There are many, many kinds. And the most common cross-industry standards are ANSI, primarily used in the United States, and EDIFACT, primarily used in Europe and in Asia. In addition, there are standards for specific industries, such as SWIFT for banking, Rosetta Net for high tech. And for each standard, there are many different versions. When two businesses decide to exchange EDI documents, they must agree on the specific EDI standard and version. And there are also other types, new types of information that's exchanged as well. As a leader in B2B, we're often asked if APIs will replace EDI or whether blockchain will replace EDI. We've heard these same questions when internet-based standards like AS2 were taking off. But XML, APIs, they all have their place. We know that actually EDI volume continues to grow. In fact, we also still process billions of faxes, and that's growing each year too. It turns out it's all additive. It's not a transition. It's a hybrid world, and coexistence is key. Most organizations struggle to keep pace with this growing complexity. And as it becomes more and more complex, you could ask yourself, is this our core competency? Because if you cannot quickly adopt these new standards and comply with protocols that your partners use, and speak the language of new global trading partners, it will slow you down, and it will slow down your time to market and time to value. So how do you plan to navigate this? Well, there really is no one right answer. The truth is that there are several implementation options that companies use. And also companies change their B2B strategy over time too. So I've put together some pictures to some common implementation scenarios. So this first scenario is basically a free-for-all, or what the Gartner group calls integration spaghetti. Here, the company has set up direct connections to everybody. And this scenario gives you the most flexibility, I guess, but your cost scale is the size of your community. And so this can become very expensive and very complex very quickly. So to simplify this complexity, most people began using service providers, mostly value-added networks, also known as VANs. Seen here at scenario number 2. This is how everyone did it before the internet, but VANs are still very, very common and actually prevalent today because of their value-added capabilities. So in this case, the VAN would provide partner connections, and your company would have a connection to the VAN via a B2B broker. The key thing here is your company is doing all the translation of the in and outbound data. But this scenario number 2 is much simpler than scenario number 1, isn't it? But what happens over time is that your VAN scenario turns into scenario number 3. This is a hybrid model. Here, the company uses multiple service providers for some of their partners. Those are the partners in the light blue. Yeah. Oh, sorry, actually, I can't really see the difference of the colors anymore. Oh yeah, light blue, okay. And then more of the greenish are the direct connections. So let's see, I lost my train of thought now. So more importantly, so all the data is being translated in the cloud so that the data streaming into your company is already correctly formatted. Oh no, sorry. Okay, so actually, so this becomes quite complex again, because it's starting to get almost as complex as the integration spaghetti in scenario number 1. And this complexity, it only gets more intense after a merger and acquisition activity where you might inherit additional service providers and additional VANs. So now I'm going to go on to the right-hand corner, scenario number 4, because this is an outsourcing model. The big difference here is that the partners are connecting through a service provider, and they may or may not be connected to a VAN. They might be connected directly to a hosted infrastructure, and the data is being translated in the cloud so that the data streaming into your company is already formatted to your SAP system or your Oracle infrastructure or whatever you may have. So these 4 scenarios are really sort of the simplified 4 different scenarios that we see most often. And people make different choices based on their situations, and also companies change what they're doing over time and also change their B2B strategy. What you'll want to do is you want to strive towards scenarios 2 and 4, the VAN or the outsourced managed services scenarios. But the reality is that situations will often pull you towards scenario number 3. So at this point, I'd like to talk a little about our portfolio of solutions. So we've been in this business for over 40 years via the acquisition of GXS and the Trading Grid platform. OpenText has been investing in the Trading Grid platform, which is the foundation of our business network. Trading Grid is a unified integration platform, and it is the backbone of our value-added network, our VAN, as well as the backbone of our managed services. OpenText has been investing and enhancing the Trading Grid platform, which benefits both the EDI VAN as well as our managed services customers. The Trading Grid platform helps companies to connect, to optimize, and grow their business. So by that, we mean being able to connect with any trading partner wherever they may be in the world, being able to leverage powerful cloud-based supply chain applications to help optimize supply chain processes and to ultimately help companies grow their business. So there are 5 areas that we feel are essential in developing the power of the network. This is the ability to leverage certain capabilities that we have within our Trading Grid network that really help create an adaptive supply chain. So the first area is around global reach. This is the ability to connect to any trading partner located anywhere in the world. This also means working with a provider who understands regional differences. Second, once you're connected to this pre-connected community, your provider should have a solution in place that makes it easy to search, find, and onboard new partners very quickly. And of course, security and compliance, ensuring that transaction flows are secure and compliant with regional regulations. You'll want to make sure that the infrastructure and networks you will be using are highly available and will not be disrupted. And finally, intelligent monitoring. So is visibility and analytics embedded in your network? Can you manage by exception? Can you leverage proactive notifications so that you are alerted of an issue before it impacts your business? Because this kind of visibility in the transactional flows is incredibly important for businesses. I'd like to cover these 5 areas in a little bit more detail. So having access to a global network is incredibly important for every business, regardless of whether your company already has international operations and connections today, or if that is something that you plan for in the future. It's incredibly important to work with a provider that has a network that gives you that option, the option of connecting with trading partners either within your country or across other countries. In addition, it's important to have access to people on the ground that can offer support in the local language, for example. Also, a global network should be able to support regional communication protocols, such as HOLFT in Japan and OFTP2 in Europe for communicating across the automotive supply chain, and AS2 in North America, which was really mandated by Walmart, for example, many years ago. So you'll want to work with a network provider that can provide the knowledge and the experience to support your supply chain with these various different regional communication protocols and document formats. It's also incredibly important in a global network having access to data centers in multiple locations. So that way, if something happens in one location, we have the ability to fail over to another data center really quickly. I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail in just one moment. But essentially, the network provides a platform for business growth. You know, we operate our network in over 20 countries. We have 24/7 follow the sun support. So regardless of whether or where you have trading partners in the world that you want to connect to, we can provide that connectivity. And we can provide that support in 12 languages, which is equally important. Okay, so here are some examples of the communication protocols that our Trading Grid network supports. We support something like a black box. You connect to us and we take care of mediating between the different communication protocols and the document formats, and then provide that integration to your trading partners. Whether it's any flavor of EDI, of XML, AS2, AS3, AS4, whatever their connectivity is, we support it. Okay, so then once you're connected to the network, what does a pre-connected community actually provide you with? Trading Grid builds on decades of EDI expertise from the acquisition of GXS. We are one of the few companies who have been enabling business-to-business connectivity for as long as we have, and the only ones to continue to invest in our platform as much as we invest in our network's infrastructure and capabilities. We have the largest global network with over 65,000 companies today leveraging our Trading Grid network, with 1.2 million connected partners and around $9 trillion worth of commerce that's moving across our network on an annual basis. And that's across, for example, our core verticals, which are retail, consumer goods, automotive, high-tech, financial services, and general manufacturing. We also have quite a bit of business as well within our pharmaceutical and the life sciences space. Understanding the nuances of how a document should be transferred in one industry versus another, enough to support the different communication protocols, as I mentioned a moment ago, is important. We have that knowledge, not just of those protocols and the integration, but also the business processes that are resident within many of those different industries. Let's see, being able to dual source and fail over to an alternative supplier really quickly during a period of disruption. All right, so being able to identify an alternative supplier really quickly and connect to them and ensure that your operations will not be impacted is crucial. From pandemics to natural disasters to cargo ships getting stuck in the Suez Canal, unfortunately, there will be future disruptions in the coming years. And no one can predict when they're going to happen. So what companies need to do is to be better prepared by choosing the best and most modern and largest B2B network. So ultimately, a pre-connected community can help accelerate the onboarding of trading partners, because in many cases, those trading partners are already connected to our trading grid network. And we support that, those connectivity requirements and those standards. So one of the newer introductions to our network is something called Global Partner Directory. This is like a directory of trading partners connected to our network. This directory is enriched with third-party public and private data. So essentially what it allows companies to do is to radically identify the trading partners that you want to work with and also with whom you can quickly and easily connect to. This global partner directory is augmented with additional information such as company performance, but also ethical and sustainability criteria that we've integrated through a partnership with a company called EcoVadis. These additional company details, they help you be better informed about potential partners you may want to work with. This helps you to identify the right partners and build better and more trusting relationships with the types of businesses that you want to be doing business with. Okay, every company wants to ensure that the B2B provider that they're working with has got a secure network. Security is job number one for OpenText. We've made a number of strategic acquisitions in the security space over the years to help boost out our security capabilities to ensure that we have a secure environment that third parties cannot intercept. Users have the right privileges to get access to the applications that they have the right to use within our network. So it's all part of the registration process to get access to Trading Grid. I'll touch on the compliance piece on the next slide. But we invest in not just the network, but also in the data centers, the physical environment where we host our services. I think we are quite unique in the market as we actually host our own data center infrastructure. We don't use a third-party network because we value the security of our services. Okay, and so just to touch on the compliance piece, there are many different compliance regulations around the world. One that we focus on quite strongly is around electronic invoicing, for example. Each country has its own way in which they can archive an invoice, apply additional signatures, and apply evaluated tax. That's the level of complexity that most companies don't really want to deal with. That's a level of complexity that we can help companies navigate through those compliance processes. We have a number of important accredited certifications for security, both from our network, how we process the data, and for the people that manage access to that data as well. The certifications cover our core network, which includes Trading Grid messaging service, the managed services environment, and also the active applications. Those are our cloud or SaaS-based applications. So why is high availability important for business network? Well, it's really all around improving customer satisfaction. It's no fun having a transaction that may fail to be delivered to a customer, especially if it's an advanced ship notice for a car manufacturer that is trying to notify them of an inbound shipment of parts. that's going straight into a just-in-time production system. High availability also means that we can fail over to an alternative data center because we have a number of data centers around the world, both in North America and in Europe. Okay, and then number 5, the 5th and last one. In terms of the last area here, around intelligent monitoring, we have the visibility and the analytics embedded in our network. This is a best-in-class real-time visibility tool with data visualization. We have drill-down capabilities, the ability to manage by exception, as well as configurable dashboards. As I mentioned earlier, there are 26 billion transactions moving across our network. We are able to leverage that data to analyze those transactions either by company, by industry, or by region. And we can identify key trends and develop KPIs for specific suppliers. We have the ability to proactively monitor transactions so that you can be notified of any potential problems before they impact your business. And so by freeing up some time, by enabling companies to manage by exception, and by providing easy to access and easy to understand insights into this data, this really allows our customers to make more informed decisions relating to their business operations. Okay, so just to summarize the 5 essential characteristics you should consider when choosing an EDI provider with a modern B2B platform. Number 1, you'll want to choose a B2B network provider with global operations for business growth. And that also means local support staff around the world who understand their region and speak the language.
No, now I'm busy.
You'll want to choose a network with a large pre-existing, pre-connected community that will allow you to quickly connect to the right kind of partners, perhaps trustworthy and ethically minded businesses, partners that you can quickly learn more about before you choose to do business with them. 3 and 4, these are important to have both a highly secure and highly available network and infrastructure. And number 5, embedded best-in-class capabilities, intelligent capabilities that are always improving through innovations and investment. Capabilities such as those that provide real-time visibility over your transactions and that provide you with insights that help you make more informed business decisions. OpenText Trading Grid is a unified integration platform with these 5 characteristics that will help you gain increased efficiency and productivity, faster time to value because you can find and onboard the right partners faster. It'll ensure that you are future-proofing your investment because we are always innovating and coming up with enhanced features. The capabilities I've mentioned in this webinar, they all come included as part of the Trading Grid network. And these features simplify day-to-day processes and allow you to focus on your core business and allow you to continue to accelerate cloud adoption. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
Any questions in the group here? Everybody's very quiet today.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Will this presentation be made available offline?
Yes, we are recording it and it'll be made available on the YouTube channel.
Okay,
I have a
you.
comment. Thanks, Naomi. It's quite interesting. I work for Johnson & Johnson, and we've been changing a 3PL in consumer healthcare that does distribution and warehousing. So we've been moving to a more IT advanced 3PL. And the interesting part is I'm supporting the quality and compliance, and EDI has been a term thrown around quite a lot in the project meetings. And we currently go live where we are getting our first orders from these distribution centers to the customers, but we're experiencing some challenges where it's taking about an hour to get the order coming from J&J into the 3PL system, and for them to be able to print out the picking list and be able to ship out the order. But they've advised us, the internal IT team, that they're working on that. It should take about less than 10 minutes for the order to go through, being able to know what time will it be delivered to the customer.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Was there a question in there?
No, it was just a comment that thanks for this info. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah, it has
that sounds great.
Yeah, it has broadened up my knowledge, and I will understand if there are any hiccups, and also understand the type of network that's being used.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
The only scary part, if we wake up one day and IT, sometimes there's always unexpected things happening. If your system just shut down, then it means your customers are on your case, because you can't get orders through, you can't do the picking. And I don't know with these systems how strong is the backup, because they told us there won't be manual intervention. With our previous 3PL, we could do manual intervention where you could get your orders, print the manual. So I don't know what is your comment when your system can shut down or crash or.
Yeah, so from our end of things, we have a lot of redundancy built into our systems. So if one, like I said, if one data center, for example, were to fail, then another one would fail over and pick up the pace. So we have a lot of redundancy built into our systems for that reason.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I'll ask them in our closeout project today, what is their redundancy set up?
Yeah.
Damo,
I have a table.
Yes. Damo, it's Bupe. And I think just following up on Naomi saying, if you feel you need some expertise, you can give me a call. You've got my contacts, you've got my email address. I can engage your IT department. We can discuss. I can see how we can help them if we can.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, good.
All right. Good.
I have a question. So you have this thing built in that kind of vets your partners or suppliers. Does that do like what do they call it? Like it's not a governance, but almost like a screening where they verify, who's part of the business, how good or bad they are, what do their credit ratings look like, all those sorts of things. Is that the sort of information that you would be providing?
Before Naomi, before you answer that, I also had a question regarding that on that global database. In terms of the supplier, does that now get updated by you guys, or does the supply information feed through on that? How is the updating happening in terms of the recent information? I think that also speaks to your question in terms of.
Oh yes. So we've partnered with a couple of third-party partners. So we've partnered with Dun & Bradstreet in order to get company details and performance. And then we've partnered with a company called EcoVadis for the ethical and sustainability criteria. They provide us with ratings in terms of everything from fair trade to human rights to environmental issues. But in terms of the company details and their performance, that comes from Dun & Bradstreet. And I think that gets updated weekly. It gets updated quite frequently.
Okay, so quick one. I've worked with EcoVadis on some of my suppliers, but does that mean if the suppliers are not vetted by them, then they won't be available via your platform?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was if suppliers are not vetted via EcoVadis and such other companies, would they then not appear on on your database? Or
Oh, no, they would appear in our database if they are connected to our trading grid, but they might not have certain details filled in. So they'll still be available, but we might not have, there might be a few blanks if they're not in the EcoVadis, for example, database. But people would still be able to find them and connect to them quickly.
Okay, all right.
And one more question from me. I'm not supposed to be asking all the questions here, but so you talked about in the beginning about blockchain and how we're talking about that coming in, and in the past there have been kind of new systems, or I don't know what these things, very technical, but would EDI, I mean, I can't imagine that it would work in isolation. I mean, surely you would have to integrate in some shape or form into blockchain. Or do you see them completely exclusively not working together?
Well, I see how really there are good reasons to keep adding additional types of electronic exchanges on top of each other. So they'll all continue to exist simultaneously. And so moving forward, it would be really additive in terms of, like, one won't necessarily replace another, but there will be good reasons to use blockchain, for example, or to use APIs. But at the same time, we also see EDI is still growing as well, even though that is a very old technology. So they will continue to exist and be available and be growing side by side. In terms of with the trading grid, because our platform supports all types of different types of electronic exchanges. If you funnel your connections through the trading grid, then you will actually have visibility to all of your connections within one platform. So that's the advantage of going with a company as large as ours.
Yeah. Naomi, if I may, just my name is Tabiso. I'm part of the OpenText team here in South Africa, and I head up the solution consulting business. And to add on to what you're saying, Naomi, in answering Tanya's question is, I think the fundamentals of our business network solution, if you really think about it, has got properties of blockchain. I'm not saying it really is linked to blockchain, but it's got properties of blockchain. In other words, if you consider the terminology of blockchain comes from you being able to identify the origins of where something came from. It could have gone through multiple systems, multiple areas, etc. But you still, in whichever level you're at, you're able to identify where the origin of the source was. So think of it as if you're connecting car parts. We are able, from a business network perspective, are able to trace the source of which factory was manufactured in, if that's part of the metadata. Would even be able to go as far as trace or include in the metadata the information of which batch got created in that particular part. These are all options that you could consider whenever you linking onto your grid, or it's the type of properties you want to pull through for your organization, depending on which region you're in. I just use a car part as an example of something that you might want to recall at some point. And this information is typically handled by the ERP. So we then are able to pick up the loose ends of metadata from the ERP, and we're able to share it across to whoever who needs to see the information. So that's what I refer to. My question to you, Naomi. So here I'm coming in to fill in a little bit of an answer, but also to ask a question myself, just to broaden the discussion for the team around the table. this is a subject I'm very passionate about myself, you know, the B2B world, etc. Naomi, as you know, at OpenText, we're quite big on business networks. Now, my question to you, Naomi, that you can perhaps answer, and like I said, it will broaden the discussion for the team around the table, is I heard somebody speak about a 3PL organization. And typically in a 3PL world, you can sometimes be a little warehouse management, not little, but you could be a warehouse management organization handling people's information. You know, it could be you handling Nike shoes, but Nike doesn't even have a warehouse. They use you as a warehouse. And Nike will tell you, please distribute our shoes to the Johannesburg region, and someone gets paid based on that. My question to you, Naomi, is are we able to provide almost 3PL type billing mechanism where someone like an RTT, for example, whose role is a warehousing management house, and they are holding stock on behalf of someone, but they then want to be able to bill the Nike depot based on the Nike request to deliver some of the stock, etc. So I'm asking about the billing mechanism and flexibility that's available within the business network engine. Would you be able to have a third-party organization own business networks, but then manage other people's stock, etc., from a 3PL billing component?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I'm not really sure about that. I really can't say. I think that would have to be something I would have to ask some of my colleagues about. So I don't know right now. I'd have to research that.
Look, it's a bit of a loaded question, to be honest, Naomi. I know, and I'm just asking it because I'm picking up a trend in South Africa specifically where we're seeing some of the larger organizations who want to play not just in their world, but they want to take over some of the other worlds. Somebody spoke about Johnson & Johnson here. Maybe when you're in the Johnson & Johnson space, you know, you could be, I'm just going to pick an item that they specialize in. You know, they distribute food for children or baby powder. But suddenly that food for children, often they sell it with another component from another vendor. Now they want to couple the two up and send to the centers or to the distribution sites these components combined. But suddenly they'll want to bill this other partner for having sold on their behalf some of the components along with the milk for the kids. This is something that I'm just thinking of. It's a creative thought from my end, and I think it's a bit of a loaded one as well. So I understand why it's complex.
Yeah, it is. I think in our Connect sessions, we must touch up a bit on that, because for J&J, I don't know if you know the product Mentholatum. It's not manufactured by J&J, but J&J distribute it for Mentholatum. And they take it, put it in J&J's products, but we also use another 3PL for that distribution. So it will be a 3PL of a 3PL of a 3PL. You
hit the nail on top. That's exactly what my question was. It's when there is a complexity in the billing of multiple organizations, but there's one person who we contract with is OpenText, and suddenly this is, I know it's becoming a trend in the 3PL billing space, just on the historic projects that I've been involved in. So it's a great discussion for us to pick up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making a note of that one. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I think we will wrap things up. But either Bupe or we'll also rope Tabiso in here from a South African side. Any questions? We can make their details available to you if you'd like to have a follow-up discussion. They are definitely at your disposal. They'd love to hear from you.
Hope not.
but thank you very much to OpenText for hosting the session for us today. Very interesting, very informative. Certainly for me, I learned a lot. But yeah, and we look forward to the next one. So for all of you that have been with us this afternoon, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. If there are any questions, drop us a note. We will share the recorded video with you or the recording with you so you can have a recap if you need to, or share with colleagues. But in the interim, we say goodbye, and we look forward to catching up with you in the near future again, another one of our events. Thank you so much, Naomi, for getting up early to present to us, and for the OpenText team for being with us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.